This is going to be Amber and Legolas riding the World Dressage Federation Foundation Level 1, Test 3. A. Enter at the working walk. Proceed down center line to C without halting. C, track to the left. HXF, change rein, lengthening the horse's stride and allowing the horse to stretch forward and downward. Between F and A, develop working walk. K to E, shoulder 4 between K and E. E to M, change rein. M to H, continue working walk to H. H to E, shoulder 4 between H and E. E to F, change the rein. F to V, develop working walk in preparation to trot. E, working trot. E to M, continue working trot. M to F, lengthen the stride. Between F and A, bounce the horse after the lengthening. After A, turn right on quarter line. Leg yield left along quarter line, arriving at rail after E. S, circle right 20 meters twice, allowing the horse to stretch forward and downward on the first circle. Then developing the working trot on the second. S to M, working trot. MXK, change rein, lengthening stride in the working trot. K to A, bounce the horse after the lengthening. After A, turn left on quarter line. Leg yield right along quarter line, arriving at rail after B. At R, circle left 20 meters twice, allowing the horse to stretch forward and downward on the first circle, then developing the working trot on the second. R to H, working trot. H, X, F, change rein, lengthening the stride in the working trot. Between F and K, transition to walk. K to X, working walk along diagonal. X down center line. Between I and G, halt, salute. Dismount, stand quietly for a moment. You may reward your horse. Take the reins over the horse's head and leave the arena leading the horse at its shoulder. Now we're going to go right on and I'm going to show you this again. Now, Amber would, of course, walked out of the arena here before we started talking. She did a great job on this test. And once again, she's only ridden through this once very quickly before we did this. So great job to Amber for stepping up and doing this. So once again, let's take you through it. This is the World Dressage Federation Foundation Level 1, Test 3. So what we're looking for is consistency in all these movements. Really nice center line here that Amber creates. And once again, thinking about these tests, as you can see, I've tried to make the requirements of each new test just a little bit harder and very much reflecting how we go about training horses on a day-to-day basis. Developing the test in a way, I hope, that brings out the best in the horses and gives us an opportunity in these foundation level tests, for instance, with our halts at the ends, just to be able to develop and come in the kind of relaxation that we want in the horse, and then, of course, end by rewarding the horse in the arena. All these things that help to make a horse want to come back in an arena once again. As Bill Steinkraus said, if you can't get them to like it, it's not going to be very good. So that's what we're at the goals here of my foundation level test, is to get the horses to like it. But what a beautiful job Amber is doing here. Once again, you see how easily she just stretched right down into the contact. He came back up without losing rhythm. Comes right back in. You can almost see the top line of this horse lift up as he brings the head and neck up and comes into that connection. So these are shoulder fours, which means that we're not too worried about the bend at this level. Remember, the difference between a shoulder four and a shoulder in is that the horse develops bend the entire length of its body. So the shoulder four is really more like a leg yield. In other words, we're not so particular about the bend. And that's the difference between a shoulder four and a shoulder in. In a shoulder in, the horse bends the entire length of its body. We can see on this side how he was a little more difficult for him. He got a little bit above the bridle there for a moment. Takes a moment for him to settle back in. But he does very nicely when we get to that point. Good working walk here. So once again, remember how our scoring system works. It's in each 10-point section has 4 sections to it. That is, the first section is for the first point, which is whether the horse is actually working over its back or not, which is what makes a working gait. That's what makes it in a working gait. So if the horse isn't working over its back, you get a 0 on that and you can't gain any more points. Once the horse is working over its back, then you gain points beyond that. So remember, we have 3 possible points for rhythm, 3 possible points for relaxation, and 3 possible points for accuracy in each 10-point movement, broken down that way. So in other words, a perfect movement would be one in which the frame absolutely stays consistent, the rhythm stays consistent, and the relaxation stays consistent, and the movement that we're asking for would be totally consistent, or those are consistent with a correct movement. Again, I've put these double stretches in for that very reason, to give the horses really time to encourage our horses in the show ring, so they can really get back to that full stretch. And you realize how important it is to get that full stretch out of a horse, and how much better their gaits are after. For instance, you can see with him, once he comes back up, he has more spring and more step deeper under his body. Good lengthening of stride here. So there's a little bobble right there in the middle. Most of that's caused by this ring is very unlevel, but those little things would make a difference. It wasn't absolutely perfect. So in other words, the rhythm on that might have been a 2 rather than it might have been a 3 or a 2.5. We do have half points in our scoring system. I'm speaking in general terms here right now, just to get everybody in the idea of what we're looking for. She comes back to the second circle. A little inconsistency up and down. If it were perfect, he'd go right down into that stretch. So all that little bobblingness a little bit there would cost a little bit in points. Everything that deviates from that ideal of perfection. But how nicely he came back up into the working trot. Now you can see how now this working trot's even better than it was before. Really beautifully consistently over his back, flowing around the arena. Now, good length in his stride. That could have been a little better. His neck could have come a little more forward. He could have swung a little deeper under the body, just to give you an idea. Makes a good downwards transition here. No stiffness in the joints, making that downwards transition that pretty much steps into it. So I want to thank Amber for stepping up and helping me with these tests. Once again, this is only her. She had a quick little ride through before we filmed it, but great job. And once again, it's so beautiful to see these horses coming along, and a great way for you all to test yourselves and see where you're at. And as we begin to see other horses riding these tests and realizing what the difficulties are involved. So great job. Comes up and does a really nice stretch here. I mean, a really nice square halt. And this is how we want a horse to stand in the arena. Like, this is just no big deal. They should stand quietly, and why I put these all in. This is Will Faber from Art to Ride. Thanks again to Amber for helping us out with this test, and thanks to everybody who has had input into this process, and it's still ongoing, obviously, but we're very pleased with where we're getting to now. So look forward to seeing some of you all riding these tests soon. As soon as I have clarified them, I will post all the tests online so you can download them. You can certainly copy them off if you're interested enough off of the tapes as we go. So we'll see you on the next one shortly.